Kelly is going to talk about, one of the things the community has wanted is to lower the freeway lanes to help address noise and other elements. He's going to talk about that. One of the benefits of Kelly lowering the freeway lanes, it gives us an opportunity to look at where a pedestrian cap would be. I would like this project not to go to construction and then come back and retrofit a pedestrian cap in the future. I'd rather us, I know it's again, integrate the new 67 improvements for the previously named Redbird Mall. Go ahead and work with the community and tell you it should be told, so you don't lose the priority of the project. And I'm saying I want to work with the community to look at where a pedestrian cap could be. I know I'm putting a whole bunch in the wheelbarrow at the same time, but I would like to work with the council members, work with the city staff, and see if in fact we can go ahead in the new project, put in a pedestrian cap node. Now, the RTC can put in some money to do that. The city will have to put in some money, but more importantly, someone in the city is going to have to maintain that particular item over time, or we're not going to be able to put it in. So we've got a lot of things to talk about, but frankly, I think this is, a nice opportunity. We don't proceed with a total component, take advantage of the Proposition 7 statewide constitutional amendment, go ahead and shoehorn in the 67 improvements in this particular project so we don't delay the community anymore. And third, is there an opportunity where the Regional Transportation Council work closely with the City of Dallas to create a pedestrian cap like Clyde Warren Park and to advance the economic development opportunities in the southern sector? I could go on more, but I don't want to take any of Kelly's time. I want Kelly to be able to present to you, your district engineer, this project, and then he will be able to highlight some of these particular elements in that presentation, and then we're going to stay and answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Mike, I don't want to bring you up right now, Kelly, but I want to recognize the field elected officials. Because we're so interdependent, we've got school board members here concerned about what's going on in the community, so I want to recognize George Foreman. We got Eric Wilson from the Dallas City Council, Mayor Pro Tem. We just want to thank y'all for being here. Mr. Whitaker's here for communities every way we can, and so I'm just pleased y'all are here. And at this point, Kelly, you want to come up? And again, we'll have time for questions and answers, but in case you missed it, there's no toll roads on 67 and 35. There's money here. We're going to talk about how we're spending that money and the creative things that are going forward as it relates to 67 and 35 and Redbird. All of this is kind of interdependent on one another, so we need to make sure we use leverage all resources to make it happen. So.
Thank you. Once again, thank you for the invitation to Councilwoman Arnold and Representative Davis to be here. Just real quick, I want to introduce the TxDOT team. Michael Woodruff, our Deputy District Engineer. Stan Hall, who's our Director of Planning. Rusty from HNTB, our consultant firm, is working on the project. Michelle Rackers from the PIO office back here. Then Susan Clemens, Ashley Strong, and Chris Rocha are the team from TxDOT that's working diligently every day on this project, in addition to monitoring the work going on in the horseshoe in the spare time. So, Dan Chapman from HNTB is in the audience also.
Where's all that stuff? It's not here. Is that me?
As Michael said earlier, this project began, and Representative Davis alluded to, this project began way back in 2001 as a major investment study, schematic, and environmental assessment. The study limits are on I-East 35E from I-20 north to 8th Street, which is about 8.6 miles, and along US 67 from FM 1382, which is better known as Beltline Road, up to 35E, or the 67 split, as we call it, about 9.4 miles. The original scope totally reconstructed all of these roadways. And general purpose lanes, which us engineers are terrible about using acronyms, so we call those GP lanes, but what those mean are the regular and reversible high occupancy vehicle lanes in the center median, which are lanes that require, at this point, the policy is more than one person in that car in order to allow you to utilize the high occupancy vehicle lane. We were granted CDA authority, which is Comprehensive Development Authority, in the 2013 session of the legislature. That gives us the ability to use the public-private partnership to build this project. Now, to give a little more explanation about that, our Horseshoe project, which is currently under construction in the Mix Master, is a design-build project where a developer, we call it a developer, but it's a conglomeration of construction firms along with design consultant, design engineers that come together and build the project with TxDOT oversight. It gives the ability for a lot of innovation for the contractors involved at the very beginning in how to build the project. It saves money, and it also saves a lot of time, whereas they can start the construction work before the plans are completely 100% finished. In a traditional TxDOT-led design bid build project, we would do the plans 100%, put it out there for bids, and then the low bidder would build the project. There's a lot of advantages to using the public-private partnership delivery method for construction projects of this magnitude. There's a lot of room for innovation, cost savings, and traffic control and traffic handling. We've seen that in the Horseshoe. That project's progressing very well. We'd expect Southern Gateway to proceed in very much the same manner. Here's a map of the project. As you can see, we've broken it up into 4 segments. The first segment being on 35E from 8th Street down to the 67th split. And it does include reconstruction of that interchange at the 67th split. Then segment 2A, which is US 67 from the split south to I-20. 2B being 67 from Interstate 20 down to Beltline Road. And then segment 3 is along 35E from the 67 split down Interstate 20. You see we have some estimated costs there for segments 1, 2A, and 3. Delivered with the design build method about $470 million. And Michael talked about some urban elements and things that we'd like to add to enhance the project, which we're shooting for a project budget of about $600 million. The 67 project south of 20, we're looking to probably deliver that in a traditional method, not use the design build method. It's a very simple project where we'll just add the third lane and do some intersection improvements and maybe elevated U-turns at those intersections there. And so it's only about a $48 to $50 million project. We think the best method of delivering that is through our traditional design bid build method. Now, the purpose and need of the Southern Gateway Managed Lanes project, and don't get alarmed by the term managed lanes. Managed lanes does not mean tolled. HOV is a method of managing the lanes for only the cars that have more than one person in the vehicle are allowed to use those lanes. So that's one method of managing the lanes. Tolling is another method, but in this, as Michael said, we're not proposing using any tolling on those managed lanes. The intent is to increase capacity, reduce traffic congestion, improve mobility, to improve and eliminate some of the design deficiencies that currently exist along the corridor, and to improve system linkage. An example of some of the design deficiencies, there's places where we don't have any shoulders. We've utilized the inside shoulders to build the existing HOV lane that's there today, and there's no inside shoulders. The Zane curve. The Zane curve currently meets about a 50-mile-an-hour design speed. We're going to improve that curve, bring it up to the design speed for the project, the appropriate design speed of 60 miles an hour. If you listen to traffic reports, a lot of times in the morning you'll hear that there's an accident in the same curve. That's somewhat attributed to the deficient geometry and the lower design speed that exists there today. Third is the short ramps and the short taper links. There's not much room to merge with freeway traffic once you get onto the freeway. This will be brought up to today's standards. Use auxiliary lanes and longer taper links so you'll have more time to accelerate and blend safely into the flow of the freeway traffic. A cross-section of the existing, we have 4 general purpose lanes in each direction with a reversible HOV lane in the middle. The proposed is 5 general purpose lanes, so you'll add an additional general purpose lane and a 2-lane reversible HOV lane in the middle. We'll still have our frontage roads. As you can see in the proposed, this project was environmentally cleared in 2006. There were right
of the new referendum money for this project. That money actually comes to the Dallas-Fort Worth region tied at the same time as that project can then go to construction. So if you say, well, could we build the project sooner? The answer would be no, because the revenue we plan on using, or the significant portion of the revenue we plan on using, does not come to TxDOT until that particular time.
So this would be a good time to talk about that money. That's the resolution, the constitutional amendments on the ballot right now. Every vote's going on, and it allows the state to take money from 2 places. We get additional money from 2 places. After $28 billion of general taxes have come in, we can take $2.5 billion and put into transportation for transportation projects, and will be available in 2018, as he just stated. And then there's a portion of the sales tax, motor vehicle sales and excise tax. Those monies will be available to take after 35% of it to put over into transportation to help fund these projects. And so there are several things I want to just mention. One is, if you haven't voted, this would be a good time to think about voting tomorrow so we can get this new money. Because transportation is critical. We all get frustrated driving and getting hung up in traffic, but it is a cost to meet the demands. And the current status is we don't have enough money to build projects to meet our demands. So we're shuffling and trying to prioritize how do we spend our monies and resources, and kind of thinking out of the box. We've got here now to the Southern Gateway. As I said, it was on the books since 2001. So that's taken that long to get it funded for it. Number 2, I want to mention, and Councilwoman Palmer brought this to my attention, and I know she's had several meetings. I want to commend the community for standing up, being very clear and very forceful, saying we don't want toll roads. Because I think when the planners and the engineers were looking at creative ways to say, how do we get this project? Because what they hear from me is, I want my projects done and I don't want them done now. And so they start coming up with creative ways to address that part. But one of the byproducts is, but I don't want it done any kind of way. And so toll roads were unacceptable, and the community spoke very sound, very clear, very consistent at every one of the mapping meetings, saying we don't want toll roads. As a result, they've gone back and come up with a creative way to use this new funding to make Southern Gateway possible to build. The other thing I will tell you from the community standpoint is, I think they understand now how critical it is for us to look at mobility and look at it from an economic development standpoint. And part of the issue with not having service roads, there's always been a discussion with regard to businesses were not developing because you couldn't get on and off the freeway to access them. So this kind of addresses those kinds of concerns that we've heard over the years. And then the other thing that he talked about, Kelly talked about with regard to deficiencies and just kind of cleaning up some of the design issues that came up early on. I remember, and Michael, you remember the arguments I had about all of the construction with the mixed master, and we ended up coming off 35, having to exit KD's, get on the industrial, go down the street, and turn and go up on 30 to go to the post office. That's what we call a design mess. And so we're fixing that with this new, with the horseshoe, but the point is, the community has been very consistent in saying, we want you to think about all these kinds of things. The issue with regard to right-of-way, looking at minimizing the impact of taking land and minimizing what it would do to communities. They've really gone back as a result of their involvement in these community meetings with TxDOT saying, this is a problem, we need to figure out how to minimize the impact on citizens. So I want to commend you all as citizens who really kind of dug in and said, okay, this is what we'd like to see happen with our tax dollars, and we don't want you to abuse us. In growing and doing, that's kind of what we want to do, is always balance growth and development with the community's interests so that they match up. So at this time, I'll take any questions, but I just wanted to commend you and commend Councilwoman, because they started early on saying no toll roads, and